All right, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to our online folks who are joining us now. Thanks to everybody who braved the weather here in Atlanta. For folks who are watching online and are not in Atlanta, it's been storming here every day for seemingly months. And it's storming right now. So we're gonna hope and trust that the internet and the power will hold. If not, we will have a beautiful poetry reading in the dark. But I'm delighted to be here with all of you tonight to celebrate our monthly poetry series, Meet Me There. This series is curated by Samuel Ace. Samuel Ace is an incredible transgender queer writer and sound artist. His latest books are I Want to Start by Saying, Our Weather, Our Sea, and Meet Me There, Normal Sex and Home in 3 Days Don't Wash. Ace is the recipient of the Australia Lesbian Writer Award and the Firecracker Alternative Book Award in Poetry, as well as a repeat finalist for both the Lambda Literary Award and the National Poetry Series. Recent work can be found in Personal Best, Makers on Their Poems That Matter Most, Essential Queer Voices of U.S. Poetry, Fence, Bathhouse, The Texas Review, Poetry, and We Want It All, an anthology of radical trans poetry. We are always so grateful to Sam because he brings such incredible, smart folks into this space. And tonight we have two of those beautiful folks with us. Tameka Cage Conley is a literary artist and creative intellectual who writes fiction, poetry, plays, essays, and librettos. She was born in post-Jim Crow Shreveport, Louisiana, and reared by a tightly knit matriarchal family led by her great-grandmother, who told stories about injustice and resistance. These stories inform the commitment to social justice in her literary craft. I know. I will say, Tameka's bio is so beautiful, but it is 5 paragraphs long. So I know. So I'm gonna say everybody should go read Tameka's bio because I love it. What I am gonna say is that Tameka has done a lot of cool stuff. She has gone to Iowa. She's a Cave Canem Foundation fellow. She has won the Pittsburgh Foundation Award, the Eben Demarest Grant Award, which was previously awarded to Jackson Pollock and Kyle Abraham. And in 2019, the opera for which Tameka wrote the libretto, A Gathering of Suns, was awarded the bronze medal in the Society and Social Issues category of the New York Festival's TV and Film Awards. So truly so many things. So please go read her full bio. We're delighted that Tameka is here tonight. And we're delighted that Danez Smith is back in the house at Charis. Danez Smith is the author of 4 collections, including Don't Call Us Dead, Homie, and most recently Bluff, a finalist for the Minnesota Book Award and the Anisfield-Wolf Book Award. They're also the curator of Blues and Stereo, the early works of Langston Hughes, which we most recently got to celebrate with them, and that video is on our YouTube channel if you want to go check it out. For their work, Danez was won the Forward Prize for Best Collection, Minnesota Book Award in Poetry, the Lambda Literary Award for Gay Poetry, the Kate Tufts Discovery Award, and so many more awards. I'm not going to read them all out, but again, you should go read Danez's bio as well because they are also an incredible, incredible person. So we're going to begin tonight with our host, Samuel Ace, who always offers a beautiful context for our poets. And I want to let folks know that they will have an opportunity to ask questions both in the chat virtually and in person later on. So please welcome Samuel Ace.
Thank you, E.R., and welcome everyone. Thanks for coming out on this stormy night. We're in person, and all of you out there in streaming land, welcome. Tonight marks the end of the full second season of this reading series, Meet Me There. It's a monthly reading series that features mostly work by queer and trans authors who are bringing new books into the world. We also want to feature local writers, and tonight we will be pleased that Tameka Conley is here. Let's see, after the summer, we are going to start again. There's a summer break to the series, and we'll start again in September, at the beginning of September, with novelist Charlie Jane Anders and local writer Jess Lewis. We'll be celebrating Charlie Jane's new novel, Lessons in Magic and Disaster, and it will be coming, I believe, in August to this very bookstore. Tonight also, as always, I want to thank Abeo, who is Charis's programming director. He's put in great work to help publicize this reading and every other event here. Also, E.R. Anderson and the entire Charis staff. They've all championed this series from the very beginning. If you haven't done so, please check out the Charis website. You can buy books by tonight's authors, and all of them meet me there authors. And so, like tonight, almost the events are live streamed. So, and they are cataloged up at YouTube. I don't know, ER, if you want to put up the playlist for me there. All the past readings are on YouTube, and there is a playlist which I just became aware of, which is great. You can go there and see. Instead of interrupting between readers, I'm going to give a short introduction to both writers and then let them speak for themselves. Opening for tonight is Tameka Conley, beloved Atlanta writer who I'm just beginning to know. She's a community member and also a professor. She will be followed by Danez Smith, whose most recent book of poems, Bluff, we are celebrating tonight. Danez writes, "Who was safe within my safety? Whose slow dying was required so I could sweet home?" These lines do not appear in Bluff, but in a set of, quote, deleted poems accessed only through a QR code printed in the book itself. You have to buy the book to get that QR code, and it's really worth it because the deleted poems are fabulous. These lines come from a mostly visual poem titled Metro, and it's written after the amazing sound and visual poet Jonah Mason Webster. I quote the lines here because for me they resonate through the whole of Bluff, as well as the fictions to me. Reading Bluff through for the second time from beginning to end, including the deleted poems, I felt like I was in the presence of a mind and a spirit. Yet, yes, a poet saying yes, but also saying no. Saying that all of these words, feelings, lyrics, which look back and often contradict themselves, or at least question themselves, the poet's past forward, they in fact all exist at the same time. The poet demands of himself an acknowledgement of every doubt, every perception, and must also defeat any notion of the hero or valorized poet. I'm not sure if Danez is questioning the existence of God, although at moments they seem to, but certainly they ruthlessly question the God of poetry. There's no single or simple answer to why poetry, as there is no easy answer to why. But with brutal honesty, the poems and thus the poet keeps trying to come to terms with poetry. They ask themselves, have I done enough? Can I do more? What parts of my calling as a poet are for me, my ego, or cause? Does the work have any intrinsic value, specifically a value for the human beings we are responsible to and for, no matter how close or far away they are to us? The poems in Bluff ask, what is it that I do all right? What's the use of writing in the face of death? The death of Black boys, women, trans, and indigenous peoples. What are our poems in the face of depression? Do they exist in lieu of or in spite of joy? Aren't those the same questions for all living, for the things we do to live? Perhaps it's the poet's job to acknowledge these questions, surely to not act as if they don't exist. Not only should the poet ask these questions of their work, but so must the doctor, the parent, the builder, the laborer. The poet here, Danez, puts those questions right within the poems. The answers are not easy, nor are they resolved with a simple action, any one poem, or any epiphany. There's doubt, there's self-interrogation, there's joy. The poems ask us not to valorize the poem or the poet, no matter what they have written or what accolades have come to them. The finished poem may have power, but ultimately it's residue on the page, a moment of the poet's thinking and awareness. One must always ask oneself if it's enough. I'm new to the work of Tameka Conley, and so happy to have found it. Reading their poems and excerpts from their novel in progress, I find in her work a writer searching beneath the surface of a character's action to trace the ripples of deep generational trauma and history. She excels at writing souls at a time when they can no longer hold that trauma in the same body as one that attempts some sort of functional and loving life. And she does this with love rather than recrimination. I love this quote from a recent interview she did for Torch Literary. She says, "I'm drawn to the characters for their majesty, plainness, dynamism, might, and belief. They do awe-inspiring, dangerous, playful, and beguiling things. Sometimes they are bad actors, and I write a scene thinking, how could you? But I am also extremely taken by their pursuit of self and how viscously and completely they love or mistake their theories. They seem strong to me, but also vulnerable in so many seen and unseen ways, which is to say, they are human." Please welcome Tameka H. Conley, who will be followed by Danez.
I'm not sure how Sam thinks I'm going to read now. That was so. I feel like, this is my first time meeting you, so you're extremely sacred as a human. And I just want to thank you for your presence and for this amazing series. I want to thank my friend, my kindred, Danez. Danez and I have been close for over a decade now. We met in 2012. Yep. And I love you. And I can't believe, I'm the kind of person who gets starstruck over my friends. Like nobody has friends who are talented as my friend. And then you are such a bright star in my life, my soul. You know what? One thing about you is that I never leave your company the same way I've arrived. And I just want to thank you for that. And I'm so excited to see people that I've known for a long time, and some new friends too. So, thank you for joining. This is my first time doing a reading in the reading, like a torrential downpour type situation. I'm going to start with these two poems that came as a surprise. Here you come today. 1. I found you by reach, muscle, crooked finger, mouth wide as it takes to forget. I'd left you somewhere, like being inside a room, then forgetting what you'd gone in for. Until some thought returns to a pot simmering with stew. You turn down fire, walk clean out the room. Bone, herbs, broth, do luscious business with nothing much from your hand. Beautiful lid, stir in time. 2. Can't say geography ain't been good to me. Book, pilot carried, flesh of charm struck in her plum brown ear, miniature Mercury name, named as if from trees, or bullets, or blood, or cross, high and lifted up to a beautiful God. 3. I'm good at finding home, like somebody nosy on hunt for tiny carrot, a hole, curly cued on flat Brazil nut skin, anything to find the human, proof we came from something. 4. We came from something, didn't we? Southern slobber, slop slurped in good God language, spring rolls stuffed with greens dipped in plum sauce, okra jelly clear as a disobedient moon. We broke bread, didn't we? Held skin. 5. I did not count home in you, not even quick place to shut my eyes. But I dabbed your palm damp from where you held my hand as I wept. Gentle, you said, my new name. I might have slipped your slim fingers smooth into my mouth. Water turned back to water on that black street, and for a moment, just then, no one alive had ever hurt me. Wow. Ooh. Thank you all so much. Found poem carved from letter 1. Back in Georgia, prompted by touch, surprise like thrill when I was young, holding lid on pressure cooker as popcorn popped and trickled, the joy of making it that way. Great grandmother, my nana, nearby. 2. Where our roots are, tenderness and damage of family, hunt and savor of the word, sway and strength of friendships that sway like trees in a wind that do not break, would not dare break. Tug, tug on me. 3. One day I heard a deep voice call my name in a way that sounded familiar, like home, like you've been calling my name over and over for a time. Long stretch of holding. 4. Tuesday, I remember the cafe. You hold long memory. Do you see the future? I remember you'd speak one word when you saw me, radiant, like one of my name. We beam archive, porch happy, delicious. 5. I wept, you caressed hand, pull me in, feel through mist. I wonder how you love, like I said, where I roots at. 6. Beyond this letter, what hit me? I hit you up. You were where you were. 7. Here holds thy wouldn't breathe, top elixir, hurt alone, turn in water, disturb, touch, touch again, listen. 8. You ain't never asked me for nothing. 9. Ancestors reunite in glory, Martin, Coretta, Betty, Malcolm, Mamie, Emmett, my God, where would we be without a heaven to claim? My God. 10. Without question, I put my fingers in the furrowed coils of your hair. I wondered how it felt, but didn't know I'd find out. I tried to say it all. The morning I met you, I saw something open. You, shirtless in dark jeans, scrambled eggs. I rose from the table, reached, clutched, water boiling to the right temperature for tea. 11. I remember when my hands went and the feel of your breathing more than I remember where you held me. Your abdomen pressed, pressed, waved. How close are we? 12. We something else. Another word. Transparent waters. Eve's child. Anxious, healing, disciple with desire. Alone, warm touch. Proof. Reach. Reach deeper. 13. God here. We here. This poem is dedicated to Shreveport, Louisiana. Wait, hold it up. I'm sensuous. Okay, keep going. I love you. I love you. I don't take a picture of you feeling something. You normally feel like this in small company. Lord. Thank you, sweetie. Well, it did what it's supposed to do. It did. A little bit more. A little bit more. It did. Oh my God, the door. Thank you, honey. This poem is dedicated to Shreveport, Louisiana, where I'm from, and also to Danez. Danez curated poets.org and Poem Day and invited me at AWP in Kansas City to contribute. And so it took me a long time. It took I learned about this tragedy in 2010. I did not write the poem until 2024. So it took 14 years to actually write about this. And the first poem has been published. The one I will read after has not. So it is a series of poems about the following tragedy. And the title of all the poems is Kin. This first one is Kin First Responders. On August 2nd, 2010, siblings and cousins, Takitha Warner, 13, Demarcus Warner, 14, Jatavius Warner, 17, Latrell Stewart, 18, Ladarius Stewart, 17, and Latevin Stewart, 15, drowned in the Red River in Shreveport, Louisiana, in an attempt to save the Kendricks Warner, 15, who was rescued. One of their own was down in the belly of the river. So the six dove and flew, neither flippered nor gleamed, as if air could hold them, as if river water was sweet. People believed in miracles, believed they was miracles, believed what life was not life without their people. Somebody said they were searching for stars, but looked down into the waves. The stars they perceived was brother, sister, cousin, each eye shining with river mud studded with gemstone, each mouth open and gleaming with tooth, gold, child holler. So they did what humans do when they fall in love. Fall. Flung their bodies in full panic, full surrender, one after another, after another, after another, after another, one behind the other into river water. We blood and life, blood and death, and we blood drowned as one sound. Water was neither translucent nor transparent, which means not one could read their futures, which were dying as they dove, dying as their limbs did not heed the love command of their individual hearts to stroke and live, stroke and live, stroke. They did, stroke, they did. Ingested river water like shine, mud, sludge. They blues turn mouth part, holy part through. Kin, when you go, I go. We about to die soon. This really means the world to me. It's been a tough week. And Ned and I were talking about that up front. And it means the world to read poems is a gift. So thank you. This is also Kin as the Red River. I told them what I say to all y'all. Stay still. I'm there waiting. I hold my breath for love, kin, bodies, rain. Folks tell tales about me. I can't say what's true. Am I as red as they say? Say when the sun kissed me, I glisten good God brown. I don't believe in lies. Call me black, and I'll say amen. I don't turn my mouth from my kin, take them children. When each one dove in, one after another, one after another, one behind the other, I felt their bodies with my body. Am I not holy water? Did my duty. Let them know best I could. I had them forever.
When nobody else was there to help, all they had was me. Hurt, I understand. Longing is something else. Loneliness too. Folks sing the blues and reference me like I don't know. All these bones in my back, up under my feet. I cry and choke on collarbone. Nobody talk to me unless they screaming. Folks lie on me, call me dangerous, tell they can't stay away. I ain't saying don't believe, but what would you do with limbs and spines and mouths and slaughter all open at the same time, hollering, screaming for love, calling out? And I got confused. Truth be told, I thought they was calling for me. And like good kin, I wrapped around each body, got inside each mouth, all so they wouldn't be lonesome, and carried them home. Wow. I love it. There's a lot of different feelings. I was partying, like grieving and sad, and also like mystified by the wonder and the surrealism and the even properties of the image. It's so wonderful. It's so complex and amazing. You're the best person.
I love you.
I love you.
I'm so grateful you asked me.
Wow.
And this is the last poem dedicated to
Oh,
me.
you read my poems too.
Please, like you my fighter. Please don't play with me. So this one was dedicated to my mother. And it's titled How. And this also my last poem. Born of a blackberry mother who pulled me from the cliff of a womb so open it slid me out too soon, like a firm mango, like a sweet, not yet sweet. To this day, when my mother hears my voice on the other end of the line, her first question is, "What's wrong?" As if the day of my birth, with her and me hovered above the toilet seat, her hand cradling the too soft mound of my head, the crown that nearly skipped. She says sometimes, Mika, every time I think about it, her memory licks the air, and she does not flinch. She does not need to tell me the memory is a needle pricking her skin, the doctor's command, and abandonment gleaming with centuries old damnation. There was a 19-year-old black woman who announced, "Doctor, I think I'm about to have my baby." God knows what he saw, a mockingbird, a cloud, a word, whatever. What he said was, "You are just nervous. You probably need to pee. Let sleeping dogs lie." Or, how dare you stand with my mother in Shreveport, Louisiana in 1977, as she heard what she has understood so many times since. I got to do this by myself. She did. She did. Walked alone to that toilet in her suite, hovered over the commode, peed. Not urine, but her firstborn who did not crown, for whom she did not push. That baby just slid until she landed whole, 2 pounds in her mother's one hand, slippery as a wound on the edge of a woman's tear. How did my mother catch a wet, premature newborn with one hand and keep me pushing into the ground? How? Thank you. How am I supposed to read shit? No, that was divine work. I love you. And you smell good still. And so you smell good, you look good. Don't Tameka, you always look so good. I just want to write something so I can cast you as like a goddess. Yeah.
Queen, something. I love you so much. The poems are incredible. I guess I should say these things to the microphone. Those poems are incredible. You're incredible. You've always been incredible. But I think I don't get to see your work in face to face as often as I would like. And so every time, it's not like the first time, but it's just like, yeah, my friend's still a genius. And like, you're just so gifted.
And I think we work our whole lives to get where you take us in like 2 minutes. I love you. Hey y'all.
Hey.
Okay. My brother's here. Say hi, Malik.
Hi, Malik.
I should also.
Oh, we got. You got it.
You real at home with this.
I get your tissue. Hold on.
No, we just go put it with a new piece of garbage. Okay. Y'all handle it together. Okay. I don't want to read from Bluff. I'm all like horny and like family and intimacy. I don't know. I'm feeling a lot of confused things from Tameka. Like the last 3 poems was gorgeous and sad and empowering and all things, but I am also aware that I was recently turned out. I kind of want to read some horny, but I don't think there's anything horny. Is there anything horny in here? No, this is my least horny book ever. Okay, that's it. Let's see, no, I was gonna read some horny. Let's go to the horny book. Yeah, that just made me go horny. Okay, so let's read a poem about masturbation. A note on Vaseline. Oh, well, this is fun. This is like back when I was bisexual. And like, okay, cool. Used to be. I you know, 35 now. You know, like every once in a while, your sex is complicated. You know, like, once every 3 years, I go over, touch a foot in. I say that was nice. Still, see you in 3 years. Anyways. A note on Vaseline. Praise the wet music of frantic palms, plastic toilet cushion, and shiny fingers, your eyes shut, rebuilding how Sherry bent over in math, or how Latrell walked around after gym class, his underwear too small in brand new manhood undeniable. Praise the endless tub of grease. It's been the same empty, but not empty your whole life. This very same Vaseline you're using to polish your favorite body part was used by your mama to slick her face when Miss Latrell from over on Head Street called her a frog-eyed bitch back in '76. The same grease your auntie used to make a disco ball of her small brown mouth when she decided it was time to put it on Craig down at the skating rink. This same family-sized tub has been young with all your elders. It soothed grandpa's gout, grandma's fire burns, and Saturday morning bruises. Praise petroleum. How oily and blessed the space between your fingers. That supple blade between index and thumb sends you to the guts of stars. Remember this grip when men use the stuff to prepare you for their want. When they leave you throbbing, tender, whistling from the wrong mouth, all your bones replaced by yolks. You will never have enough spit, and this is how men will want you always. Slug, slime, slick of a man, twitching tunnel of left hands. Woo. I didn't want to read about sex. Okay. Damn it! Pizza. I gotta go home and write. Okay, let's do intimacy then. Let's write that. Let's take off my hat for this. It is a good cut. This nigga been cutting my hair since I was 14. And I love him. And you know, as a homosexual, y'all know, any of the sexuals besides the hetero, is that like you always kind of think you come out to everybody, and then like I realized like I was still in the closet at the barbershop. You know, that probably taken care of. Day Day was the last person I came out to. Why did I long to leave the man I wasn't, uncomplicated beneath your blade? And that brief weekly Mecca. I wanted nothing to mark me but the edge of your sheer cutting horizon above my brow. Our romance of money and mirrors. We trade coins for beauty and peace in the time rich forever of this shedding place. The million doors to this heaven we attend to be tapered and grown. I didn't want my facts to become the news, nor the closeness it takes a man to square a man into grace, to be soured by gods or traditions or desire, or wait, by God or desire or traditions that leave my kind unloved, unhoused, unknown by clippers, raggedy and unbrothered. Day, I wasn't a man. I was your clay, afraid of being banished from your hands. Loose me not from this uncled oasis where I rather be misnamed than uncounted. I curved the men I kissed into vague women in that chair. Stretched my life so thin you could cut it with a whisper. I knew the word had sharpened and accrued its jagged disciplines. I knew the world had needed this one place in it, not to be it. But then you found my poems. And then you cut my hair. I think took my grandma to get a haircut the other day. She's not feeling too hot health wise. Her spirits are good. So let's go get you faded up. And I took a picture of her in the chair, which selfishly I'm like, this is a good photo. I might put this on a book someday. But it just makes me think about my grandma. I just wrote a play about our relationship and about like intergenerational storytelling and queerness and all this other shit. But in there is this one poem that I think like attempts, if I was bold, it might say that it's in her voice. What a thing to say. But part of her getting older and just like being more caretaking and stuff is that like I've like been doing this like sort of act of translating to doctors and all this other stuff recently. And I don't know, I was thinking about like this poem in terms of like what was I trying to translate about her experience to like something that she would never say. But I think the poem stops just short of trying to say too much, hopefully. Love poem outside of understanding would begin in selfishness and end in worse commitments. To live near violence is not to own it, nor to be owned, but to belong to it as the day belongs to the sun. Dawn is a condition of the way you are a condition of. If gravity is what sets the agreement that pulls the earth's face round into light, then like dawn, whatever stayed me pulled the hand nearer into its daily events. I stayed because I stayed because I had a key, and so kept returning myself to my cage, cleaning it, adding girls and teaching them to love you. I stayed because when his hands rushed to me like comets, anything could happen. I stayed because knew no women who ever left, did not want to be the first woman. I stayed because reason has no weight. When I buried him, I cried because I cried because. Oh, let's read more about that nigga then. I miss that Negro, though I don't know if he'd love me or what I'd lie about to be loved. But I like to think we'd be cool. And sometimes I'd call him after I knew he was up and ask, "What the hell you doing, old man?" And he'd say, "Shit, boy, sleep." And we'd holler over all the mannish nothings he'd been told to hush up out round the smaller me. And what cancer looted we'd have. A few strolls and maybe new grudges. His hard learning of the fab he prophesied and believed cured, or maybe he knew before he went unknowable. Maybe if the prostate had shrunk instead of molded, he would have got it right. Even a decade or two of not beating his wife. Or maybe he would have again. And you know what? We love him. You can knock your father across the jaw, test the barrel to his neck, and be bubble gut giddy about the dude in the same weekend. I've tested the theory. I know it's empty, born logic. I hated my beloved. The woman he beat for 40 years won't let you call him shit, but a good man. She is of a God that confuses and nourishes and imprisons me. He is in a good man's hell, serving a good man's sentence. Hate that marriage means to plot your escape and love's murder. Hate he taught you that. Our local and occasional evil, our shelter and from which we fled. A father, a country. I plotted his death in the dark of Saturdays. I'd kill the world to kiss him. Jesus. Okay. I know. The fuck else should I read? I feel like I got like 2 more in me. Maybe 3 more. Let's see. What should we go? This is something I don't normally read. Yeah, sure. I'm not bold. I'm fucking traumatized. Same niggas I write poems for call me faggot and my utopia shrinks. Who really do I mean by we? Too. When you say bravery, I think, what else? Don't we all brave a thing, even just the dark? Through it or deeper, darker, still. I talk so loud because I'm trying to find the door. 3. I'm not every nigga. They not all in me. I'm not that damn large. I contain multitudes of little shit that adds up to a basic me. I know only a tiny percentage of all the black people. When I say black people, I mean what I've confirmed in small circles of niggas I know. By niggas I know, I mean niggas I choose, and I choose them all. I really do mean to, but surely there's a list of niggas I'd rather not allow into my heaven. Absolutely a list of black folks I pray toward hell for. Like, do black presidents get to go to heaven? Or people who beat their children to relieve stress? Is the nigga who raped me gonna be in Thug Mansion too? How heavy is my stone on his scale? How much and what kinds of violence are allowed within God's love? I know love is some shit I'll never get because my grandma hopes my grandpa is waiting for her in heaven. Wings closed into a fist on his back. 5. I have like 4 white friends, maybe a dozen if I'm being generous, and that feels brave enough. You know what I'm talking about. All the little deaths in there loving you, all of that. Read Citizen if you need that lesson. Every teacher I had those 3 semesters, I got to know a deeper sad, added citizen to the syllabus late. Every one of their white hands handing me what I had already read and knew. And they were so amazed. And with Trump, the opportunity for us to finally write political poems. And it was like they were just now opening their eyes, and all us once shadows had shapes. Proper names. 7. Does it bother you when somebody talks about your people as a concept and right in front of your face? What does it feel like when it's, what does your skin feel like when it's evaporating into theory? Mine, like sugar, dissolving in the sleeping mouth, taking the tooth with it. 8. The problem with being a poet is the line. So thin, it's not a line where your history, personal, becomes your history, collective. Some folks in my family can't get that to tell my story. I have to confess theirs. We are not stains in the lives of others, not wind nor flat actors, not tricks of light. We have shapes and make noises and make scars and disturb and interrupt and salve and slave and slip so easy from background character to God. Maybe do start as we now. My people ain't even my people. Their utopia calls for my death and they dress for the occasion. It's some bullshit. It's impossible. I feel bad for poems. All we expect them to hold. The people in my poems don't agree with my ways. My poems shrink. I look to form when my heart feels placed in a blender and left to wait to post. That's what it feel like when I remember who want me gone and how I love them alive.
Woo.
All right, one more, and then we'll talkity talk. The ball will dance in the rain. Who sings that song with that blue? Nobody want to dance in the rain. Blue, does he have a last name? If you were listening to indie rap in the late aughts, maybe you also remember this. Let's see, it's the last poem, and I'm going to read something uplifting, but I did not write that book. So what do I read? I'm going to read one section from this very long poem. Yeah, I think a lot about like the little baby poets I work with. This thing. Especially like, you know, as daily America gives you like 8 new reasons to like panic and like, you know, plan an assassination and move to Canada and like give up on life and also like have resilience and hope and blah blah. All the things, right? You feel so many things. And I don't know, I just feel bad for like all these little baby poets because I was watching some interview after I wrote this poem, so this is just random, but some interview and like this young person from California was just like talking about the responsibility of the poet to like, you know, like frame the injustices that, you know, are happening in the community around them. And like, yeah, the nigga was right, but also he was like 17. And it's like, oh, this baby, you know, like already something so magical as poetry, you know, for this young poet has to have this use because of how dangerous his like country is to him and to the people around him. I was just like, damn, so many things. Okay, anyways, this was from a poem called Soon. Sorry, I think I looked at the light a little too long. Somewhere my kids don't write poems about being targets. I hate those poems. I hate my inability to declaw their logics. Rebuttals every rebuttal. Oh, like, sorry, the sunspot is really fucking me up. Let's try that again. Somewhere my kids don't write poems about being targets. I hate those poems. I hate my inability to declaw their logics, rebuttals everywhere my babies look. I hate them who planted a dirge in my seed songs. Now chalk outlines where should be dandelions, prophesying repasses when they should be portal jumpers. Worlds away from here, my babies should be dreaming Neptune's moon, should be running through purple forests under tangerine clouds whose rain sounds like laughter when it hits the ground. Instead, my babies dream of cops, of stops, of who they could lose inside the swirls of red and blue and red. And who was I? What was I doing? Why didn't I stop it when I saw the world creeping into the little lives? Somewhere my children can write poems about being without protest, their songs full of stars. Beautiful. All righty, Tameka, get your ass back up here. It's a fantastic ass too.
Then grab that mic. This one. Yeah.
We're gonna have us some conversation.
Oh, you two are amazing. Thank you so much. So we're we have a short time for some questions. Is there anybody who have questions in the chat there, VR?
Not yet, but Karen Good Marable is here just clapping and enjoying.
Thank you,
So.
Miss Farrell.
Yeah. All right. I'm just gathering myself. Honestly, it is so beautiful. So I said in the introduction to this, I was struck by the stuff in the book, in Bluff, and you wrote many of the poems, I believe, in Minneapolis, St. Paul, around the time of George Floyd's death and murder. The poet in the book is sometimes very hard on himself. And I love that there's no simple resolution or even sometimes detachment from what's happening. So you've left the questioning in the poems, but I wonder since that time, since there's a long period, we were just talking about this, between the poems being written and the book actually coming out. And so much of this book was written during COVID or during the pandemic. Has anything changed now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think to me, a book should think, it shouldn't have thought, right? And so I think there's a lot of, even though the more self-critical elements in Bluff, they're evidence of that thinking, right? They're evidence of that sort of self, I don't want to say flagellation, but like exfoliation, right? That, or this like sort of, I mean, I think like decolonize your mind is like a thing that we often say, right? But like, what does that look like? And I think part of that is what's happening in the book. And there was a very critical moment in writing it where a friend of mine, Angel of Peace, saw a draft of it, and was like, hey, there's just like too much guilt here, like that's not gonna do anybody any good. And it was a good calling in, and so it made me go back into the book and like find some more hope and just like really fortify what I was saying. But I wanted to leave some of that other stuff in there just because I thought it was, to me, if you read it from back to front, like there should be a new thought at the back of it, right? This new thought that is like, kind of fuck poems, and they are useful, right? I mean, Amir Baraka said it too. It took me 140 some pages. But yeah, like I think that's it. So it's like, like we all must use whatever tools that are available to us to get in the way and to engineer something that's actually worth a damn, right? So it's like fuck poems, but like if poems are like good fuel for the movement and for the movements that will carry us up, it's better than yay poems, you know? Yeah, so I think Bluff, I just had to get it out. I think also what's going on in Bluff is my friend, the best advice I got before I got married was to get couples therapy every 7 years, even if things are going well. And I haven't made it to that point yet, but I keep on reminding my husband, I'm like, we got 2 more years. We're going to talk. Like, things are fine, but like, you know, the advice was like, you never know what things are, you know? And I think I just like had been in such a long relationship with poetry that I just had to like go to couples therapy. And like, this is kind of the evidence of that. And I think what was evidence of it is like we were talking earlier, but I think one of the things that happened, there have been other books where I kind of felt like depleted or sort of silent or like I don't know, like after I was done writing the book, there was like these long silences after, right? And after I finished Bluff, I think I just needed to get it the fuck out because then I was like a wellspring. Like I've like you know just like been so creative since I finished this book. And I think I had to like go through couples therapy. It's all the evidence is in there, but then I was like really in a great relationship with the work, with my mind after this book, right? And so where I think there have been other projects that I've done that have kind of exhausted me. Like, no, this is like the biggest book I've ever written, but it invigorated me. After I was like, cool, that's done. Let's keep on working on these other shits, right? So yeah, so it was an incredible and very different than the other books I've done. So there was something like the question was like, you know, is anything different now? I think it's just like, yeah, I think after all that, you know, let's say I say exfoliation, I was like now with a new skin and had new sensitivities that I was ready to get out there and explore.
I love that. And I'm so excited that we have a lot to look forward to. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Anybody out here, you know, everybody else have any questions? Yes. Okay. Oh, wow. Tameka, yeah, you those extraordinary poems. Thank you for those. I said it in the introduction, you write so profoundly about trauma and history, but with such a it's like prayer and really prayer and love. Just exploring how to love someone in the face of even unforgivable acts or what seemed to be. I felt that in some of the excerpts from the novel. So, can you speak more to that, and or where are you in the novel? Is it coming? Are you?
I wanted to be. So I'll start with the first part of your question. I kind of feel like the kind of writer I am and the kind of human I am is that I don't feel like I'm really given the choice. Like obviously I have agency as a creative, right? I am making choices as an artist, as an intellectual, as a thinker. But when I think about the people I'm from, you know, I mean, I lived with my great grandmother and my mother. My great grandmother's daughter, my grandmother died at 31 years old from a brain aneurysm. So there was always this absence between, you know, I would hear stories about her, but I didn't know her. And my great grandmother would always say, "Love is a doing power." That was a standard quote of hers. Love is a doing power. And for her, you could not say you love someone. She really wasn't a person who said I love you very often. She did, I mean, but she did, right? That was the differentiation for her. And because this is a person, and I didn't know how unbearable it was to lose a child until I had one. You know, now I have a son. And not to say that anybody can imagine that grief, right? But that is the greatest kind of thing I can think about losing, right? And so I say all that to come back to the part where I don't think that I could write without a compassionate lens, even for evildoers, even for, do you know what I mean? One thing I also think craft wise is a lot more interesting. I just think that like villainy and darkness and evil without any type of, because what I said to somebody about the person who is currently the president, what I said recently is I can only imagine what it's like to be that unloved. You know, like that's the tension I think is there. Like I look at this person and see someone who does not know love, has not been loved, and has not loved anything. I don't think that is possible. That's a lot more interesting to me as an artist and as a thinker than this person is evil. It's just a lot more interesting to me, and I think it's more true, right? You know, you think that at some point, if someone was
somewhere,
right, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and that's just one example. But I also come from people who did think kind things for people who had done evil things to them. I mean, most of the women in my family had some point did something in service, in kindness, in humility, in thoughtfulness, in gratitude to someone who I didn't think necessarily deserved that. But yet they made that choice. So that's one of the reasons why I say, like, as a human and also as an artist, I don't often think that I have an option. And also because I just cannot be bored. You know what I mean? I can't be bored. So it's a lot more dazzling to think about someone who is broken, and instead of choosing healing, they choose disaster. You know, and the best I think I can do is balance that with some type of vindication in some capacity. I mean, it doesn't always come. It doesn't always come. And then your question about the novel being finished, it's a tedious book, and the word that you use, trauma, is a word I'm only now that I'm like 2 years from 50. I'm only now becoming comfortable with talking about the role of trauma in my writing process. And I'm not talking about what I produce. I'm talking about what it does to me. And I don't think that we talk about that. And that's the reason why I so connect with what you said, that Bluff freed mental space. It was a freeing thing. I'm thinking about how many books you wrote before that. You know what I'm saying? If we talk more, we always talk about production, right? Because there's a hunger. I'm hungry for readers to have it. I'm hungry to be done with this so I can move on to my second and third books, which I've already started, to be very honest with you. But nobody knows that because it's stuck in my brain. But I will finish the book when it turns me loose. And that's really that's kind of that is the most honest answer I have to that is when I feel that it is giving everything I can give to it. That's pretty disastrous. I know that because obviously I want to write other books. But this first one, feels really historically layered, and I also don't want it to be historically consistent necessarily. What I mean by that is that I do want to probe those places in the civil rights movement that were more tender. I mean, we always think about the hurrah of it, the solidarity of it, the stamina, the resilience. But what about underneath all of that? How did it wear and disturb the consciousness, the soul, the mind in private, quiet times? That's part of what I want this book to do. And for me to go there requires more from me than writing a book about recipes, which I would like to do. I would like to write a book about cooking and about falling in love and that's exactly what it is. Like the first one is not that book. And so what it forces me to do makes it slow. And I have to use that word guilt. I'm going to use shame. I've had to do a lot of work to come out of the shame. And actually being here tonight is a part of that. So thank you.
I think you said something too in your reading, right? About the kin poems. You know, learned about the event in 2010. You said that right? It took 14 years to write that poem, right? And I think just that is so revealing, just into that question, right? Like art just sometimes takes time, right? And we just can't put these clean timelines on, you know? And like I was like, I wrote, okay, the fifth one done. So let's just say I wrote 5 books. And some of those books took, like your first one's always the longest one, right? Your first book is always the book that it took you your whole life to, you know? So that is just like, you know, there's nothing like that first one, because however old you are, you know, it took Toni Morrison and that way of thinking, right? It took her 41 years to write. What was that? Yeah. And I'm glad it took her 41 years, because I don't want to read 27-year-old Toni Morrison's Suicide. I want to read 41-year-old Toni Morrison's Suicide. You know what I'm saying? But then, like, you know, but I'm just saying, like, there are books, like, I can think, like, oh, yeah, that book, like, kind of came out in 5, right? Like, 5 months, whatever. Or I'm like, okay, Bluff, like, if I'm actually thinking about, like, from the oldest poems, like, Bluff took about 12 years of thinking to write. Sure. I was writing them other books when I was still writing that one, kind of, you know? Right. So yeah, so certain things just take different. Some things might come to you in a, you know, in a fortnight, you know? It's just 2 weeks, I believe. Right? I didn't see use that correctly. And some things might take, you know, a couple fortnights. Yeah.
And also accurate. I appreciate that. You know, I was at the Vermont Studio Center when I found out about the drowning of those 6 siblings and everything. And my studio was overlooking the Gihon River. And so I had this really horrible sort of thought about, like, here you are at an artist residency, overlooking the river for peace and calm, and you leave your window open so you can write to the sound of the river. You know, somebody's cooking you 3 meals a day, and these children in your hometown are drowned. So you know what I'm saying? It's not that I felt like I was responsible, but it was just this way that the contrast, absolutely. You know, and so your invitation, when you asked me, I knew that I was going to use this opportunity to write, to force myself to write about.
But you finally knew it was time, though. That's the other thing, right? Like, so there's a poem, like, okay, if you go in Bluff, right, there's like a poem called Rondo in there, right? That the form showed up to me 6 years before I wrote the poem. I knew what the form was going to do, but I didn't know what the language still was speaking, right? And so I just think there's sometimes as writers where, like, things have to. I'm so grateful when we're, like, inspired and, like, you know, it's just like, oh, I thought this thing, and then I sat down, and 15 minutes later I had a thing. Like, that's so great, you know. But, like, sometimes it's like, yeah, like, I sat around with that question, with that image, with whatever, for a fucking decade, you know. And maybe even wrote some, like, real bad attempts at it, you know. There's one of my poems, "Waiting on You to Die So I Could Be Myself." It's one of my best poems. And that shit took 8 years. I sat with that title for 8 years, writing shitty poems, but I knew I needed to get something towards that. And, you know, so yeah, we got to. I'm glad you talked about just the divorce in our relationships. Like, you know, so some of that stuff is real, I guess. We live in capitalism. We want to survive it. But damn it, I don't know. Especially when it's poetry. Fuck it. We ain't going to make no money. Let it marinate.
Recipe book.
What you say?
You going to do a Black Lady Eat, Pray, Love? Is that what you're going to do?
Well, it's a bit of that, but it's more than that. Okay. Yeah, not a Black Lady Eat, Pray, Love.
Yeah.
Like, it's
rub, praise.
It's more. It's more.
Max, testify. Look. Sorry, I'm just doing it.
It's not. It won't be a Black Lady Eat, Pray, Love, but it will be a journey where this character finds her world ransacked.
I want you to write. Can I be real? And this, fuck this read. I'm sorry, you as a friend. I want you to write some romance, Tameka.
Because of what happened to you when I read the one book.
No, it's just like I think you're such a romantic And like, you know,
We talked about this.
you're such a romantic. And because of what I experienced, you know, during all, what was that, 11 or 12 inches apart? How many sections was it? 13 inches apart. Yeah. I can't believe it. What? I felt all those things, but I do think just like from a pure, if we're in a section of like talking about like what is divine and what is careerism,
Right.
like divinely let everything take time, but one thing your ass should probably just like sit down one weekend and bang out is like a romance novel. I feel like it would be so
Like a romance novel?
like not like literary fiction, like oh it was a very great story, it had a love story, but oh my god, it was so poetic and the vignettes and all she used erasure and blah blah blah. And then she weaved in shit from Foucault. Like, no, we don't need that. You can have that. That's like book fall. I just want maybe it's under a pen name. Maybe it's Tameka off the cage. You know? And I just want you to write me like a good old nasty like vacation, you know, or like fucking pastor or like who knows something. I just think you should write a book where people touch each other.
I don't disagree.
And say nice stuff about each other.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, if the spirit hits me, I really will. I could probably use some levity. You know what I mean? In writing, I think I take everything so seriously.
And make a bang. If you can make these people elves, like that's the thing right now. So you can have black ladies, fucking like you know light skinned warlocks, and sorry.
I'd like to set up. I think we just need to talk to Danez once a week,
Right.
and produce this book.
Yeah, I don't know how we got here.
I think what happened to you over there when I was reading, and I mean, you know, I like writing love scenes and I like writing love stories.
Yeah, I think we don't get. I feel like people don't write desire like they used to, and
What if you had a really good black love story? Like, remember how Stella got her groove back? Do you know what I'm saying? Like. I mean, I don't want to say because it's embedded. Obviously, I think black authors are always writing about love, right? I think we're all always writing about love.
Sinners was hot.
Yeah.
Every which way, right?
Yeah.
I meant on the page, but now we are talking about sinners. Absolutely, we had, Smoking Andy, that had this. Everybody saw it, right?
Yeah.
Multiple times, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you know, I'm sorry for the audience if anybody hasn't seen it. Unfortunate for you.
You know who writes good desire and sex and all that? What's the name? Oh God. Brilliant sister who wrote Secret Lives of Church Ladies.
Yeah.
Disha.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Disha do it.
Yes.
That one little short story about the people whose parents are in like the hospital or something like that, and they freaking off.
There's a Peach College one too.
Oh, the Peach College one.
Yeah,
and it's like that's the thing, right? Because that's like also kind of getting someplace where it's like it's sexual, but then it's also a good story. And I think you can tell a good story too. I just really want to read the smut.
So you know, here's the thing. No, I mean, poems that actually make you feel something physically, whether it's desire or, you know, I think that there are poems that do that.
Yeah.
That actually do that versus poems that are much more in the head.
Right.
You know, that make you think or they're taking you through some cognitive journey somewhere. But I tend to really love those poems that you don't even know what's happening.
Yeah, is that Emily Dickinson? That's poetry makes you feel that the top of my head has fallen off or whatever. Is that her? She the one who said that, right?
Yeah.
Some people be quoting. That's how it should feel. I don't know. I think like, yeah, it's not like I don't know. I feel like sometimes poems make you think, make you go, but like, ugh, I don't know. I think like there'll never be anything better than like. I remember certain like Patricia Smith or Martina Spotting poems that when I heard them for the first time, just like, you know, or the first time you read, you know, Won't You Celebrate with Me?
That's right.
yeah, like, or just people who can like just take the air out of a room in the best way. Like I think, were you at Furious Flower?
I missed it.
You missed Furious Flower. Spiritually, you was there. I feel like
Well, if you remember Nakia read my poem from the panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to miss it because like some family.
He was supposed to do okay. Well, I must should have been there. But that was like a place where, like, yeah, I think like we must attend. I think the ceremony of the poem, right? And like, especially when a poem is read in public, it should be some shit that can transform the space. That's what poems are for, Yeah, they're little portals, and the most boring portal is the one that drops you off or picks you up. And trying to go somewhere.
Well, yeah, I think we probably have to wrap it up.
Is there one audience question? Anybody got one?
Yeah, our online person did ask a question, but
Nice.
she also said y'all kind of answered it just in your talking. She said, when I started to prepare for writing my current project, much of what I read about the process was that it would be a reckoning, intense, etc. A lot of brace yourself. But a friend of mine who is a somatic therapist asked me, what would it look like to go through this writing process with tenderness towards yourself, not plowing through, not being violent towards yourself. And I'm curious how this lands with y'all. Tenderness towards yourself in the process of writing when the subject matter feels too much. Does that look like stepping away from it, going to therapy, being in community with others?
I think it look a couple different ways. I think I want to change the word personally from tenderness to kindness because I think there's more room there. Because I don't think tender sounds like softening, and I think sometimes you just gotta write the shit and be fucked up by it, and it doesn't really do much to try to tenderize it, right? Because actually, what is required is the full embrace of the complexity and depth and shadow, darkness of the feeling. But I think what you can do is like, be in community with folks, schedule that therapy appointment, we're good. Plan little like, if I like to write early in the morning, so that way I have enough time to leave whatever feeling I discovered that day, right? So one of my best writing schedules, like I'm waking up at 7 o'clock. I'm writing from 7:30 to 9 something. And then if I have written something that is particularly upsetting, it's only 9:30 in the morning, and I still have the rest of my day to turn back. I also think why I said kindness instead of tenderness is because I also wonder how our relationship to form is a kindness to how we write about difficult things. I will always bring up, she should pay me for how much I bring it up. But Marilyn Nelson, in the introduction for Aretha and Matilde, talks about needing the heroic crown of sinus to be a sort of buoy for her to enter the rough emotional terrain of writing about Emmett Till and needing to sort of be allegiant to this formal element that would allow her sort of the distraction of these formal obligations so she could go deeper into this emotional terrain. And I think that is something I think about with being a writer and writing something that is going to be particularly emotionally difficult. We're not writers because we really like saying rough stuff or we really love the truth. Maybe that's part of it. But we also love writing, right? And so how can you be attendant to the way you're writing, right? In poetry, that can be form, but there's also forms or things you can do, strengths that you can do for yourself in prose as well. Sort of how does the formal elements or the structure of the poetry give you something to play with while you're in that rough emotional terrain, right? Because I know for me, there's certain poems that I'm like, yeah, that poem was heavy, but fucking had fun writing, you know. I can think about some of my masterpieces that I'm just yeah, I'm sitting there crying But like I've also set up this like formal engagement that I'm like, this is so fucking fun. I'm so fucking good. Oh my God, this is really tough to say, but I'm a genius, you know? And so like you have to like, you know, like this great shit fun, you know? So I'm like, so I guess like, yeah, like a kindness to yourself is how can you make the writing of it fun? Even if what those sentences hold might not be the funnest thing. It is really raining. I thought it was gonna
It's been like this for the past several weeks.
oh my God, it's sexy.
I think so. First of all, I want to say to the person who asked that question is that asking the question is already such a huge step anyway, because I think that a lot of times we don't know what we need. So the awareness of that need, the awareness of the need of care, the awareness of the need to be tender or kind towards oneself, I think that's already fantastic. Um, so I think that one thing that I've learned to do is to be very grateful for everything that I put down. I'm usually so severely hard on myself down to the sentence, down to the line. There is a a severe particularity and precision that I'm looking for. And if you're writing like that, just think about a whole one poem writing like that or a page writing like that. There's very little let up. So I do align my life with certain pleasures. I'm a fantastic cook. That's why I mentioned recipes earlier. So I cook myself a great meal when I'm working. Also, if I'm working, I order food from places I like. I just found a spa where you can get a membership and they do things like, you have access to a sauna, and I mean, it's very affordable. Things that I know it's real bougie, but things that make I don't know why I said that because it's not like I care about the perception of it. I just think that whatever you need to make yourself feel well, I think that's really important. I've had a therapist for the last 7 or 8 years. Not the same person. Once I moved, I had to switch, but I really worked hard to find someone because of what you talked about before, which is trauma, right? So that's in my life, that's in my work. I have to have a place to work on that, work through that. Danez mentioned community. I'm going to join that. I think this is a part of that for me. I've become a lot more brave at saying what I need, right? So if I need a place where I can go and hear running water, I'm going to go seek that out. If I need to tell someone, as I told a colleague recently, I need more accountability, then I'm going to do that. If I need a safe space, which is this is what this was, then I'm going to identify that. I really do feel that that's so important. I think that's vital. I also want to just advocate for stepping away a little bit, like even if it's just for like if you can't leave a project for months, I would say one of the benefits I feel from writing in the morning, like you said, you have the rest of the day. Have the rest of the day to exercise. I mean, I work out, 5 days in a week. The other 2 days I take walks. I spend a lot of time with my son, who brings me a lot of joy. And I did mention food. I think it's so important to eat good food. I really can't stress that enough, how important that is to eat good whole foods that are not genetically modified, that come out of the ground a certain way, and you pull things together and make something beautiful and memorable out of something that previously was just some items in a grocery bag. I cannot stress that enough. Even if you learn how to do a few things well, if you know how to make scrambled eggs really good, if you can do I can't believe I'm on this, but I really am because I don't think that we really give nutrition enough consideration in how we talk about self-care. You eat well, you feel better. And it's also a fantastic way of rewarding the soul and the self and the psyche with reward, right? With something positive, especially when you're doing something really, really hard. I also keep a journal. That's just for me. That's just for my thoughts. I like candles, which is very soothing and also ancestral for me and very.
Wait, can we stop there for a second? Because I do feel like I know we probably got to wrap up, But I do also feel like this person mentioned. I'm sorry, I might be reading too much to your question, person on lot. But like this thing of like you're going to write something that is sort of revelatory, rapturous, da, 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 all that kind of stuff. I am really sort of want to caution this idea that like anything that is sort of rapturous to us in our spirit doesn't maybe need to be automatically pointed towards publication, right? And so I think like maybe move some of this thinking into the journal space, right? I think it's so important. One thing, Bluff wouldn't happen. I said I had to become a journalist. And it's because I had this space of writing that was for me that I could do some other stuff within like stuff that was going to be more public facing, right? And so like, yeah, I think like think about I just like want to maybe that's not useful to this person, but like just caution yourself and think like, does tenderness mean allowing this language, this project, this opening to like happen without having to like treat it like a book first, right? Because there's such danger sometimes in treating things.
I also want to encourage this person to maybe think about writing letters. I'm starting to be more intentional about writing letters and actually like putting your hand to paper. I wrote a letter to a character recently. I mean, obviously this is not a real person, so they're never gonna get. But there was something about releasing my thoughts in that way as an early draft for a poem. Also, the movement of your hand on paper with a pencil or a pen as opposed to typing. All these things I feel like remind yourself that you're in a body, and to be really kind to yourself. So thank you so much for that question.
This person said, "Thank you. This is also useful. Such necessary reminders. Thank you so much." We did have one question that I actually missed earlier, so I would like to ask it just really quickly. They asked, Danez, when you write poems, do you think of poetic forms first, or do you freestyle?
It depends. I guess it's a chicken or egg situation. Sometimes it's useful to like think about the form, but not always. I think whatever gets me to the poem first, but there is no privilege over one or the other. Though I would say typically it's probably language first, and form becomes an editing tool, right? So like, what do I learn about this poem if it is a sonnet? What do I learn about this poem if I put this sort of constraint on it? Not to say that it needs to live in that thing ultimately, but like, sonnets are like a good form for a reason, right? They're kind of like make you make some decisions about how the poem flows. So I'm not thinking too much, but form kind of sometimes later. It really depends. Can't get anything too prescriptive about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bring it on home, Sam.
Thank you both. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks everyone online. Very grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
You can click the teal button at the bottom center of the screen if you're watching online to buy Bluff and Danez's other books from Charis. If you are here, you can buy books up front, and I'm sure Danez would be happy to sign them. Yeah. And Tameka, we would love to have you back anytime. I'm so grateful to hear your poems in this space. I hope you'll come back many, many times. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Sam, as always, for your gorgeous hosting. We really appreciate you all.